Hey guys, I wanted to show y'all how to make a simple Kydex sheath for the Mora 511. That's the easiest method I found for making a sheath. It'll work with just about any fixed blade knife as long as you have somewhat of a finger guard to provide the retention and keep the knife in the sheath. So y'all hang tight and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, as far as materials, this is 060 Kydex. I bought it from knifekits.com. The prices are actually pretty good, so I'm going to be buying some more of that from them. Of course, you're going to need a knife that you're going to make the sheath for. I got a carabiner and a 3/4 inch keyring. A small ferro rod. This is 5/16 by 3 1/8. Got that from Nathan 4071. Drill bits, a 9/64 for drilling holes for the rivets, and a 3/16 for drilling the hole for the keyring. These little fast rivets, I bought these off eBay. They're made by Tandy Leather. You can just do a search for small double cap rivets, and you'll find these on eBay or Amazon or wherever you want to buy them from. They're really easy to use. Have a hammer for setting the rivets. I have a small metal disc for setting the rivets. You put that on the bottom side of the rivet. It can really be any flat piece of metal. I used a punch for setting a couple of the rivets on the ferro rod holder. Of course, you need some tin snips to cut the Kydex with. And for a Kydex press, I just use an old towel. I mean, it's a fluffy towel. It's not one of my wife's favorite towels, though, so I'm not in trouble. So I use a towel and a board, and that's our Kydex press. And you're also going to need a heat gun, heat Kydex up with. From what I understand, you could also do it in the oven, but I've never done that, so I wouldn't know how to tell you to do that, what temperatures or anything. You'll need a drill, some sandpaper, and a leather glove to help you handle that Kydex because it gets pretty hot when you heat it up. That should about do it. Let's get going on it. Alright, I'm going to position the knife about where I want the sheath to stop. I'm going to give it about 3/4 inch above the tip of the blade. And this way, come across the other direction. I'll allow about 5/8 past the finger guard. I'm going to roll the knife around and I'll allow about another 5/8, and there's my measurement for that. And I'll get those lines squared up. That piece should be plenty big enough for what we need to do.
Oh.
This next step, I'm just going to use a towel to press it. I have bought some knee pads from the dollar store, the ones like you use for gardening. Put one on top and bottom, but they don't work as well as using a towel. You don't get it, it doesn't seem to press as tight. You'll make sure and heat up the Kydex from the back side. One side's kind of rough and the other side's smooth. If you get the outside of it, the finished side, too hot, it'll become shiny. It comes with a flat finish on it. Push the knife in there, about center. Keep everything nice and tight. Put a board on it, and then I'm going to sit on it. £270 of force. Oh, you want down now? Oh, there went my glasses. All right, watch out. Let me get up. That should work pretty well. You can see it even smashed down into the indentions on the handle there. So that'll work just fine. I'm also going to make a ferro rod loop to attach to the sheath. I've got a piece, another small piece marked out. A small ferro rod. It was sent to me by Nathan 4071. I gotta ask him for some more of these rods. I really like the small ones. They're good for projects like this. That'll work out great for the ferro rod holder. Actually a pretty snug fit. Now I'm going to determine the shape of my sheath. I don't know how well you can see it. I can follow the contour of that blade right there. So I'm going to go out a little ways from that blade. And I'm not worried about staying exactly the same distance away from the blade right here, because we got this finger guard to deal with. So I want everything to kind of, you know, just blend in together. I might come in a little bit here. I think I'll do that. That looks pretty good. I also want to make sure I'm not too close to the tip of my knife blade with where I drew my line. The knife's going to fit in about there. That is a little closer than what I like. So I'm going to bring this line up here a little bit more. Looks like that ought to work pretty good. Bottom side of this, I'll figure that out here in a minute. Now we gotta cut a little bit away so the knife will fit in there easily. You can already tell right now how well it's gonna lock in there. It locks in there great. I'll go ahead and follow this side around. The other side here. Cut away some of this excess. It's easier to cut, make your final cut when you don't have so much Kydex in the way there. On this, I want I want to leave just enough to cover the end of the finger guard. And I'll bring it up around like, try that out. That should work out pretty good. I'll come down a little more. That snaps in so much easier. Alright, with that done, I'm going to line up this, line up the ferro rod holder where I want it. I think right there would be a pretty good spot. I'm just trying to make sure it's straight up and down. And I'm going to trace that, the back side there. Well, it moved on me. Alright. Trace that back side. Got my line where I need to cut that. It's always easier to cut the stuff one layer at a time if you're trying to cut it with snips. So that's what I'm doing. Make that cut, and then I'll flip it around and I'll make the other cut. That looks pretty good right there. Alright, next thing I want to do is try to sand all these edges down best I can. As you cut it, it turns the plastic white where it stretches the plastic or the Kydex. So I'm going to sand all that down so I don't have any more white showing. Same thing on here. And also the top and bottom edges of that ferro rod holder, they don't line up quite perfectly. So I'm going to sand those down too. I got a piece of rubber with some diamond sandpaper glued to it. And a friend of the family gave me this sandpaper years ago. He gave me about a small 3-foot roll of it and told me it'd be enough sandpaper to last me the rest of my life. And I thought he was full of it. But I'm starting to believe him now, because I've had this one piece on this rubber for several years, and I've used it for all kinds of stuff, and it still works really good. You can use it for sharpening my machete. You can stroke the machete on it. Alright, I got the edges sanded up pretty good. Draw my line about 5/16 in. That's going to be my line for drilling my rivets. I'm just going to use these little double cap rivets. It's the easiest thing I've found for putting this Kydex together. I have bought some eyelets, and the eyelets will work for 2 layers of Kydex. They won't work for attaching this. I would have to have a longer eyelet to attach the ferro rod holder. So I'm just going to do the rivets in it, and then I'll drill a hole in the top, and that'll be our fastening point. It'll be an upside down carry dangle sheath. Get one rivet about here. Put another one down here. I'm pinching that real tight right there where that rivet's going to be, and that's plenty of retention. Might be too much retention. That'll wear in over time. My 2-year-old is very vocal today. I use a 9/64 drill bit for drilling these holes. Once again, I'm going to line this up. Make sure everything looks good. For right now, I drilled only one hole all the way through for that ferro rod holder. I'll put that rivet in place before I drill the other hole, just to make sure everything's going to line up good. Now we can test it for a fit. Oh, that snaps in there great. That's good. These rivets are almost too short to go through these 4 layers. I gotta give them a real good whack and make sure they set. Hey, got it. Make sure that edge lines up and all. Alright, now that that's done, got the ferro rod holder attached. I didn't quite sand out enough there, but oh well. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drill a 3/16 hole up here at the top. That's why it's important to make sure you have enough clearance from the tip of your knife blade, because you don't want that knife blade to be sticking up through your suspension hole. I'm going to get a key ring and put on that. This might take a little bit. Alright, there's the key ring. All you need is a little carabiner. You hang that on your belt loop and it'll be there all day. You won't even know it's there. In my opinion, that's the perfect knife sheath. It's small, it doesn't get in the way, and you can hang it anywhere. Thank y'all for watching. I want to do a little side-by-side comparison. This is the sheath I made experimenting with the eyelets. I'm not real crazy about the flat pancake style sheath. I think I'd rather go with a taco fold, just because it takes up so much less room. It takes less material to make, less rivets to make, and it's much more compact. And of course, here's the original factory sheath next to them. So I would definitely say I would have to go with this one as far as the one that I would like to carry. Thank y'all for watching.